Hello lovelies, hello family, this is Kimberly Purpose and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do another video. I did a live stream, I believe it was last week, and for some reason I think I accidentally deleted, or I'm not sure, sometimes I have problems with my live stream staying up. So I'm re-recording it. It was called Lost History, Stolen Land. So I'm re-recording this video. I am so sorry. But at least with this video, I think that video I was in my car recording. But this time I'm going to record here. I wanted to share the article because I didn't have the article in front of me. But I wanted to, when I talked about lost history, I was talking about some of the some of the history that's getting lost through fires. And, a lot of our history have been destroyed. And like I said, the court records, the documents, a lot have been burnt down. A lot of it have been done intentionally in order to erase who we are as Indigenous people. They don't want to acknowledge that we were here already. And also the fact that all these atrocities have actually taken place as a tactic to avoid I guess I really don't understand the reason why they're doing. I guess it's to if there's no history to justify not paying us reparation or not tying us to this land because they don't want us to have land rights. They want to keep things the status quo. That's what it looks like to me. But I mentioned in an earlier video about there was a fire in Brazil, a museum that had the oldest indigenous bones, remains of Aboriginal people, Black people, the Negro Indians here in the Americas. That was destroyed. It just so happened it was destroyed, and it was gaining a lot of traction. I believe it was Louisiana, and it had a lot of information about our history and how we came over here, and how we traveled here during the ancient times, the Paleo Indians. And that particular artifact was destroyed, and purposely by design. But I did a video on that. Y'all can check that out on my video channel. I explained and went into detail. I shared an article that went in more detail as to what happened to those artifacts. But in this article, I found this in the New York Times, and it says 3 Black churches have burned in 10 days in a single Louisiana parish. And this is really sad. These are historic churches that has a lot of our history inside of them, and these are irreplaceable, y'all. I live here in the South. I'm in Georgia, and I live here in Atlanta, and we have a lot of these old churches scattered throughout the South, especially around the Southeast regions of the United States. And it has a lot of wealth of information that can actually trace a lot of our roots. And it actually has the records that some of the court documents that were destroyed in the courthouses. Because now my grandfather in Alabama, in Tuskegee, mentioned that his birth records were destroyed. And a lot of the records that was held there were destroyed. He said it was destroyed through fires. And a lot of this was done because they didn't want to the truth to come out that the African Americans are the American Aborigines, are the Paleo Indians. We are the indigenous people here in the Americas. And what better way to keep from paying people and giving them their lands back and giving them what is owed is to destroy who they really are. And that's what they're doing with these records. And a lot of these records are in these churches. And that's why it's important that, we are aware of all of this and try to find ways to protect these churches. I watched Phil on the Advice Show. He mentioned the churches, these older churches, needs to have video cameras and surveillance put in order to protect these churches. We need more security. We need more cameras. And it's sad in this day and time. We have to protect ourselves and protect what's ours. And also with the bombings that happened, I believe that was in South Carolina, with the church. No, it wasn't a bombing. It was a shooting. I meant to say, I'm sorry, where 9 people got killed. And it was either North Carolina or South Carolina. We actually have to have security in our churches, and the churches are places where we meet. And we unite and we get a chance to meet. And it's a historical place where during the civil rights movement, it was a place where we met and congregated as Indigenous people. And it's something that we still do to this day. And unfortunately, it's under attack. But this particular article, it took place in Louisiana. It's a church here, right here. One of the churches that was burned down. It says here, Mount Pleasant Baptist Church in Opelousas, Louisiana, one of the 3 historic Black churches that have recently burned in St. Landry Parish. And it says here, this was written by Richard Fawcett and was published April 5th, 2019. It says Atlanta, 3 historical Black churches have burned in less than 2 weeks in one South Louisiana parish, which officials said have found suspicious elements in each case. The officials have not ruled but the possibility of arson, of the possibility that fires are related. There's clearly something happening in this community, State Fire Marshal H. Browning said in a statement on Thursday. That is why it's imperative that citizens in the community be part of our effort to figure out what it is. And y'all, they found out who did this. The actual who actually burned these churches down. It was the deputy sheriff's son. Not sheriff, but it was, I believe it was a deputy. Yeah, it was a deputy in Louisiana whose son was doing this. He was part of a heavy metal band. So I'm not going to read this whole article. I just wanted to share and give you a glimpse of what happened. But they found who they actually did it. It's not mentioned in this particular article, but it's a very short article. But let's go on to the next paragraph. It says the 3 fires occurred on March 26th, April 2nd, and April 4th on St. Landry Parish, north of Lafayette. A 4th fire, a small blaze, the official says, intention said, was reported Sunday at a predominantly Caucasian church in Cato Paso, which is 3 hours drive north. So they found out that the 4th church was not actually a Black church, Indigenous church. It was actually Caucasian, so it didn't get burned down. Which I'm not surprised, He probably figured out it was a Caucasian church and didn't burn it down. But what we have to do is we have to protect what's ours and everything. And, it's very imperative that we have more security at our churches and a meet of worship. But in order to get things done. And it's sad that this is actually happening, it started here in Louisiana. And I'm pretty sure, and then this thing has been historic, that there have been bombings back in the 50s and 60s, during the civil rights movement. And I'm not surprised at this fear tactic that's actually going on now to this very day. And that's what this is, all these evidence and stuff. Let me see if I can find the suspect. Let's see here. African American churches burned in fire. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. I'm going to bring y'all over to this page. I'm just going to show you all the suspect. They caught the guy right here. I just wanted to show a picture of him. This is a suspect right here, the deputy son. He was the one that actually turned him in. So I want to make sure y'all see who he is. his name. This is the booking image released by Louisiana Office of the State Fire Marshal. Booking image of Holden Matthews, 21, who was arrested April 11th in connection with the suspicious fires through three historic Black churches in South Carolina. In southern Louisiana, Matthews faces 3 counts of simple arson of religious building on the state of charges. Now, really, this should be a hate crime. It really should be, because this was done definitely intentionally. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens in this case. But I just wanted to make sure y'all saw who he was. I'm going to put a link to these 2 articles so y'all can actually read it for yourselves. But this one's from the New York Times, and the other one is from the Time. I believe this is Time. Yeah, Time. Time Magazine. I believe it's Time Magazine or Time News. But I'm gonna put a link to both of them so y'all can check it out. But these 3 churches that were burned down is an example of how we lose our history through fires and through the bombings and everything. Lost history, lost heritage, and also the court documents in the past. My grandfather mentioned how they had fires, and then I read up about it. They have fires all over the country. These are what they do to destroy. It's the same thing. Oh, it's miraculously they burned down all the court documents. Oh, we miraculously burned down the churches. But how come Caucasian churches aren't being burnt down? And how come their records are not being burned down? Because how come their court documents are not being destroyed? The reason why is because they want to protect their interests, but they want to destroy ours because they know that we were here first, and that this land is ours and not theirs, and that they owe us reparation. And what better way is to try to cover it up? But they got to realize that, is the hiding and the lies. We already see you. Okay, you've been void. You've been exposed. The graves have been exposed. We see what you're doing, and we see what happened. Okay, and that's why, and so much of my history being erased and destroyed. That's why it's important that we start writing and keeping documents and keeping up with where we are. Of who we are as a people and where we come from. That's very important, very critical. And that's what the lost history is all about. I want to touch on that, and I'm sorry I talked about it in an earlier video and during a live stream, but for some reason I don't have it up now, so I wanted to re-record and talk about it. But at least I had articles to share with you all this time. But I also want to talk about lost land. I want to talk about Coosa Nation. I want to bring y'all over here to Coosa Nation because I'm going to go to their Facebook page. I spoke to one of the members of Coosa Nation here in Georgia. Coosa Nation is right here in South Georgia. I'm bringing you over. I'm sorry if my computer's a little slow. And I'm working on becoming a member, too here. But this is their Facebook page, and y'all need to really check them out right here because they are the prime example of how they lost their land, stolen land. Right here, this is their logo, and this is Turtle Island right here. I'm gonna close this out right here. And so, Coosa Nation of North America. They lost their land. I don't know much details about it. I just know that they have land in Butts County. And as I learn more, I'll share with you all. But I want to talk to them some more. I spoke to Dr. Tate as well. She's a wonderful person. I actually got a chance to talk to her too about what they're doing. They're doing a lot of working with people with civil rights and civil rights issues that a lot of the indigenous people are actually going throughout this country, especially here in the Southeast. And it's so needed. But I just wanted to share with you all their Facebook page. Y'all might want to check them out. I believe their phone number is here, so you can check them out and learn more about them. But they are battling over their land land that they have in Bucks County. For some reason in Georgia, they trying to take their land back, and you can see the legal thing right here that's going on. I don't know much details about it, and I'm not going to go further into it, but I just wanted to share with y'all. Check out their Facebook page right here. But they, they are an example of how a lot of indigenous people are losing their land, and having to fight for the land, and also with a lot of the tactics that are going on through gentrification. Gentrification is another example of stolen land, how that indigenous people lands are being stolen that way. I did a video on that as well. You might want to check it out. They are doing redlining. They know the lands are severely undervalued, and that's done by design. Oh, 1 second, you guys. Gotta check on this food here. I'm sorry. Up here cooking. I'm back. But it is very important, this gentrification and everything is a problem. And I think a lot of indigenous people are losing their land that way. And that's why it's important that we learn more about how to protect our lands. That's why it's important to learn about these laws and rules and everything. A lot of these laws and rules are put in place to actually steal our land, and steals through colonization, because they had the colonization laws that they passed back during the colonization times. These things go way back, and it's nothing under this. We got to realize it's nothing new in the sun. This thing been going on for a long time, extremely long time, and I'm not surprised. But check out Coosa Nation, you guys. I just wanted to make sure I highlight them in this video. They're an example of how indigenous people are trying to fight to keep and preserve the land. My grandfather lost his land in Tuskegee, Alabama. Some people, young Caucasian Grays, tricked him into signing a contract, and he couldn't read and write at the time. I believe he was like 84, 85 years old. He was an elderly man back in the 90s, and he lost his land that way too. We got to watch out for our elderly people who are in rural areas. They're targeting them. That's how they stole a lot of land in South Carolina. Hilton Head, I believe that was North or not South Carolina. Hilton Head is an example of how they steal lands from the indigenous people, and they target the elderly because they figured a lot of the kids left the rural areas, and so they go down there and trick back the elderly people into signing contracts and getting the land for dirt cheap. And also, you see that with gentrification. That's why it's important that we try to keep these lands and preserve them for our next generation. And that's why the ADOS movement that's going on, and the reparation for indigenous people here in the Americas, the United States, how it's imperative that we fight for that, because we need our land and it's constantly being stolen. And gentrification, like I said, is just another avenue, another path to doing so. But y'all might want to check out my video on that. I may even do a video about how they're targeting the elderly in rural areas and stealing lands that way as well. But please like this video, thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And I'm going to put the links to these. I'm going to put the links to the church burnings of the historic documents, and also the links to the Facebook page of Coosa Nation for you all to check them out, because they're doing great things for the community. And I'm learning more about them as well. So, and I'd love to hear what you all think. If you all know of any other Aboriginal tribes and they are looking for members, please let us know, because a lot of us are trying to reconnect to our indigenous heritage and our indigenous roots. And it's imperative that we do so because, you know, I believe too, us connecting to our indigenous heritage will also strengthen our access to the ADOS movement. It'll strengthen uh, our cause for reparation as well. I believe it was Claude Anderson. I love watching his videos. That's another person you all need to check out because he believed that we need to base the reparation on Indian laws, and I agree with him 100%. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I talk about it in another video, but um, I can go on and on and on, but I'm going to stop here. And please put your comments below and thumbs up, and love and peace, family. Bye bye.